Before I had the amputation, I was a gymnast, a soccer player, and I played a little bit of basketball. I was 12 years old when I first started using my first prosthetic.
We've had a lot of community support, both for her amputation and for her being a cancer survivor.
She reminded me a lot of myself, and that, something terrible had happened to her, but at the same time, she was just a kid, and no, she wasn't ready to move on, but she was like, hey, yeah, I have this prosthetic leg now, and I don't have my leg now, but I'm still going to be the same person. That was me, not too long ago.
It started off as what I thought was a gymnastics injury. I thought she hurt herself and had a swollen ankle, and it was a tumor. Life just completely blew up. Savannah had been sick for a year, and she went through multiple surgeries to try to save her limb. We ended up getting a second opinion, and Savannah made the very difficult but brave decision to have the amputation.
Right before my amputation, my friend Brooke Brown, she made this thing of March 28th, the day before Savannah's amputation, wear purple to represent her. And then we don't tell Savannah. I ended up finding out because it got sent to 3 group chats I was in, and then no one realized that, and then it ended up being a whole town thing. It was just for the 6th graders, but it ended up being the whole middle school, all the elementary schools, the high school, the whole town basically wore purple for me.
And friends of ours, the Wilsons, they made bracelets, and I think they wanted to be a little different. They made it say, "We love Savannah," and they were purple. And I had no idea what was going on. Since she had been on soccer since she was in kindergarten, that year her grade started the travel team. And all of the travel teams had white headbands that said in purple, "We love Savannah," yeah. And they wore them to all their games.
The March 28th night, the A-team girls soccer team had a soccer game, and they wore purple jerseys, and they made purple cancer ribbons with eye black for to represent me. And I think they ended up winning.
A friend of hers designed stickers that said, "I'm in my strong era," because they all like Taylor Swift. And when I was driving to work down 125, we were driving to Mass General down 125, the digital sign down there said, "Wear purple for Savannah." The digital sign by the middle school said it. And once people found out that she was going to have her leg amputated, I think 12 people messaged me and were like, "You need to find Julie Cox."
Tommy Strong originally started just as a movement just to raise support for my family and I while I was in the hospital. I was in a traumatic boat accident when I was 10 years old. The great community in North Andover, they started to organize and fundraise for my family and I. The importance when I was a kid of having that backbone of support from the community. That whole story was one of the main, laid the foundation for the desire to give back. Tommy Strong was able to raise money for my family and I, so I was able to afford a lot of really cool medical equipment, various different prosthetics. The one I'm wearing right now cost around $50,000, and it's just insane. And a big misconception out there is definitely that, you have insurance and that will cover things, and that's really not the case at all, where, at least from my experience with insurance and, from everyone else I talked to who'd been through something similar, had prosthetics, is that the insurance companies, they'll only do the bare minimum, and, for me, that was just paying for a wheelchair and literally a peg leg. I loved to play football as a kid, and that was definitely a bigger goal, because football obviously requires a lot of running, and it's also a very physical sport, and I'd never really seen kids or really anyone at the time be able to play football with the prosthetic legs. And had my family and Tommy Strong not raised money for me to be able to afford these great cool prosthetics with these computers in it, I would have never been able to play football and lacrosse. And they kind of treat it as a luxury to have that cool medical equipment that really isn't a luxury in it, and it's just kind of a shame to look at the insurance companies that way.
The first time she stood up at the prosthetic office, there was a full mirror, and it was her test socket, but she stood up and she had this huge smile on her face. I was like, she's going to be okay.
Sports has always been a huge deal to me because I feel like I've been doing it my entire life. Insurance doesn't really cover for a sports prosthetic leg, so it's been hard with paying for it. If I need a gymnastics leg or a blade or stuff like that.
At the time, we wanted all the legs. We wanted the water leg, we wanted a sports leg, the blade.
There's definitely a lot of things that struck me about Savannah in her case. First and foremost, she's obviously from North Andover. A couple years before her amputation, when she was sick, everyone in North Andover kind of knew about it. And I remember I was working at a summer camp, and everyone was wearing these bracelets. I think she's just truly amazing. Just from meeting her for very first time, I could tell that she isn't someone that's going to dwell on something negative that happened to her. It's just very refreshing to see, someone so young to go through something like that and have that smile on their face.
We had talked about a water leg, which we knew nothing about. And so that, when we were talking to Julie, she was like, all right, we'll take care of the water leg. And I was like, what is she talking about? And then they came over and presented a check. They're the kind of people that I feel like we've known forever. We're hanging on to the donation, and that might be something we use for if we get a gymnastics leg or something.
I feel like learning that he got back to everything that he lost, getting back into like his middle school life and doing sports, I feel like that was like an inspiration to know if like he can do it, I can do it, because we both like at the same age when it happened.
Within a month of her getting her leg, she was back at gymnastics. The first day you did
the
a
first
cartwheel.
day I did a cartwheel. So it took me like a day to do a cartwheel, but it took me like 3 weeks to learn how to walk correctly. So like I feel like it was easier, because once I knew how to walk, I knew I could just keep going. It makes me feel like I'm like back to normal, like how I was before I had cancer and my amputation. And makes me feel like I'm getting like my life back.
I would definitely say that I have seen a bigger increase in people just getting out and getting involved and testing the limits with prosthetics and the other medical devices as well, and that's definitely been very cool to watch. My family and I are forever grateful for the movement, the great parents, families who were able to support us while we're in the hospital, and that was kind of the backbone of starting the Tommy Strong Foundation.
Some days are super hard as a mom. Your baby's born and you count the 10 fingers and the 10 toes, and now those toes are in medical waste somewhere. And those days can be very, very hard. But then I look at all she's done and her attitude about things, and I'm like, she's gonna be fine. People are looking for places to donate to research. I always encourage childhood cancer research, because the next round of kids that gets cancer, they shouldn't have to be as sick as she was. I don't think we should still have to watch them lose their hair or lose weight or all the other horrendous side effects that come.
During this like whole thing, I'm really glad that I live in like a small community, like what my mom was saying, like a small town.
I felt very supported and very fortunate to live here.